Welcome back to Supporting Physician Spouses. I'm Kendra.
And I'm Katie. We are so glad that you're with us today.
We have been building a foundation over the last 2 episodes, starting with identity and how medical life can hijack it, and then how to reclaim it. And today we're getting practical with strategies that will help you actually live into that identity, even in the chaos of medical life. But first, Katie, I want to know how you're doing.
I'm doing really well. We were talking before we started the call, but we are definitely in the throes this summer. My family's ready to find our next skier to finish off this next month. We don't start school until after Labor Day, but it's going really well. You know, on the docket, we're going to a place called Kayak Point, which we've never been to, but does not just sound like a lovely place to visit. So we're spending our time beach hopping and going to lakes, and also our libraries around here have been having some really cool events. Last week we went to, this is just funny, but we went to a Birds of Prey event, and it was too windy at the location they were going to do it, so they brought it inside into their community room. So imagine these like owls and hawks and their wingspans just like flying and swooping the audience as we're in this room. It was so cool, but got hit in the head once by a wing, and he's like, why did that bird hit me? I was like, you got hit by a hawk, like you're chosen, you know. It's been good. I'm tired, but it's been good.
Summer is tiring for all mothers everywhere.
I guess one other thing I wanted to share is I finished a book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. You recommended this book, and it was so wonderful to read a book that I felt like explained some phenomenons that I've been experiencing, like blocks in my creative freedom. Like I have a lot of energy trying to hold me back into my comfort zone. And so he kind of talks about the upper limit problem and how we can go past that and invite more creativity, freedom, and just goodness into your life. So I love that. At the end of the book, though, he talks about time. And so many different self-help authors talk about managing time. And I love, he talks about time using a term called Einstein time. And he goes in to describe it. It sounds kind of like quantum physics, which, you know, is kind of over my head. But basically, it's the idea that time starts with us. We are the creators of our time. And I love that approach because it just puts the reins back into my hands. So much in the medical journey is like, we don't have time for this. We don't have time for that. And it kind of puts me at victim to, quote, time. But realizing that I am the creator of my own time means that I can create time for date nights with my husband. It means that I can create time to, you know, achieve goals with my kids and for myself. And it also means that, you know, social media doesn't need to take away all my time. You know, like I am the creator of my time. So I've been mulling over that thought and really trying to practice that in my own mindset. And it's been lovely. So sorry, that was kind of a long update, but
no,
lots of good things
no,
going
it's amazing.
on. How about you?
Well, what about me? I'm trying to figure out where I've been this summer because I feel like I've been gone like constantly, but I am home now. I listened to our podcast episode 10 that dropped this morning, and I realized at the beginning of that, I said we hadn't recorded for a whole month prior to that. It had been a while, but I've been traveling this summer. I was with my oldest daughter in London for her senior trip, just exploring London and having an amazing time and seeing places in England I've read about but have never been to.
So cool.
Both of us are big Jane Austen fans, and this year is Jane Austen's 250th birthday. So it was fun. We went to Bath and went to some other places and just got to see the beautiful countryside. I serve on the board of the American Medical Association Alliance, and we had our board retreat in Sarasota, Florida. Not as lovely as England. The weather was definitely hotter, but we were inside a conference room for 2 days and in the air conditioning, and so that was lovely. But there's nothing better than getting together with people that have good hearts and want to do good things and to work together to try to create something amazing for our members this year.
Yeah. I want to hear any highlights from that meeting. What can we be looking forward to if we were members, or give us a quick plug on the AMA? Alliance?
Sure. This is what I will tell you. So, we have an event coming up in Utah, September 18th, 19th, and 20th. This is going to be in Salt Lake City, and this is our Western States regional meeting. So, it's for really anybody in the entire country. But if you happen to live in the Western States, and particularly in Salt Lake City or the surrounding areas, I would highly encourage you to come. It's an amazing event. I know the people who are producing it. I know the quality of the event and what it's going to be, and we have some amazing excursions that you might not get to attend otherwise. One of those will be a VIP tour of Welfare Square in Salt Lake City, a big
Oh, cool.
humanitarian resource. And so we'll have a VIP tour there and a VIP tour of the Capitol building. And we'll be hearing from physician spouses who've faced challenges and trials in their lives and how they overcame them. And just a lot of really good people gathering together in Salt Lake City. So I'm going. I would love for anybody to come and join with me. But that's what's kind of the biggest thing that's on the horizon.
I love
As
that.
other things come up, I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay, then tell us your last update.
Oh, my last one. So we just returned home Saturday. I have a daughter who's going to be a senior in high school, and we went on a campus tour this weekend and got to tour a lovely campus also in Utah, in Provo. Just beautiful. Just, I'm so excited for my children until I realized that I'm going to have three of them in college at the
Mm.
same time, this time next year. It's like, oh
Wow.
my goodness, that's coming really fast. And then we'll still have two more at home that
Right.
won't be graduating anytime soon. But it's just fun to see them just grow up and go off and do some, just have experiences that I never had until I was much older.
Mm.
To do it in beautiful places and to be together too is, yeah, it's just a really special time in our family.
Well, yeah.
But glad
So
to be
special.
home. I'm so happy to be home.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, always. And summer, like I said, it's almost ending. I know you said your kids go back to school in September. Mine are going to start school the middle of August, and then we'll take my daughter up to college the beginning of September. So again, lots of fun things happening.
Yeah, for sure. The transitions are so
Okay.
good.
All right. Last episode, we talked about identity-based habits, asking who do I want to become? Because every action you take is like casting a vote for that future version of you.
Today, we're going to talk about how to actually live that out. Even when you're sleep deprived or solo parenting or just, navigating those hospital schedules.
Right, because if we wait for a calm season to build habits, we will be waiting forever. So today's tools are built for real life today. Those include tiny habits. We're going to talk about floors and ceilings, habit stacking, and then also the importance of celebrating.
Yeah, that's the step in the process I often forget. So, we're going to walk through that process together step by step. And I'm going to go first so you can follow along and apply this in your own life.
I know, again, we just have to give special thanks to Katie
Got you.
for being the stand in, the proxy for all of you as we talk about all of this stuff. So, we're going to start first with tiny habits. And I love this quote, and you will hear it repeated in lots of different books on habits. And it says, make it so easy you can't say no. And honestly, that type of advice, that easy advice, had saved me more than once and helped me keep my habits gaining momentum.
Yeah, me too. When we're juggling kids, spouse's work, my own work, the fluctuating schedule, we don't have 60 minutes a day consistently to create those new habits. So it's got to be tiny if I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, exactly. Really, who has? I don't have 60 minutes either, but I have little pockets of time. But what we see is when the bar is too high, we don't even try. Forget it. I don't have 60 minutes, therefore, I'm not even going to try. But if the bar is low enough, and if the habit is so small that it's impossible to fail, then that success really can build momentum and you have a chance. So, small habits done consistently, that's where all the magic really happens. How about a little story time?
Please.
So I'm going to share a little story with you, and it's from the book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And just, I'm going to make a little note here for both of us. I think we should start a book list. We
Yeah.
need to start a book list of all of the books that we either reference or we've read that we love. But in the book, The Compound Effect, he tells a story of two people who were given a choice. So I'm going to give you the same choice. I'm not going to give you the results, but I'm going to give you the choice. One person gets $3 million dollars in cash up front, and the other person gets a single penny, but it doubles every day for 31 days. Which would you choose? Katie,
Well,
which would you choose?
I would choose the penny.
Oh, that's no fair because
I have too
I
much
probably
family and
set it up that
finance.
way. I know, no kidding. So, for everyone else who doesn't have family and finance, this is the power of compounding. But I'll finish the story illustration. So, if at first glance, the 3 million probably feels like the obvious choice. And for a while it is because on day one, your friend gets a penny and you get $3 million. Dollars. On day five, they get 16 cents and you still have $3 million. Dollars. On day 10, it's only $5.12. And 12 cents. And then even by day 20, they're only at $5,243. And so it would be really easy to feel very pleased with yourself about the wise choice that you made in taking the $3 million dollars today.
Yes.
I think just about anybody.
Right.
If I had $3 million dollars today in my hand, I would be very pleased with myself. But here's where things get interesting is that by day 31, the person with the doubling penny ends up with $10.7 million. Dollars. And so this is the magic of compound growth. And that same principle applies to our habits. A tiny behavior that feels laughably small today, like a penny, if it becomes part of your daily life, it will compound, not just in outcome, but in identity.
Yeah, I love that. This is such a good reminder because even if we write down a word for the day in a journal or a sentence of the day, that compound effect is still creating something that's going to be beautiful as it compiles all together.
Exactly. And if you're listening and thinking, really, what is the point of something so small? That is the point that you're building a foundation, you're compounding your way towards becoming that future version of you that you want to be. And that matters.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
one thing that we've talked about is the cycle being human, but going in habits and being like, oh, I think I'm okay. And like we let it slip. But I love this
Yes.
process of keeping habits so simple.
This is probably one of my favorite tools for tiny habits and to create that compound effect. And it's called floors and ceilings. And this allows us to overcome that all or nothing thinking. Everyone, we know that black and white, it's all or nothing. I either run a marathon or I never run at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, what Katie's going to help us understand with some examples is that a floor is your minimum habit. It's the version that you can do even on your busiest, hardest day, and it shouldn't take more than a minute. And then the ceiling is your best case scenario. Like if everything goes smoothly and you live in an ideal world, what does that look like? And so, Katie, why don't you share with us kind of an example of how you've used floor and ceilings and what that has looked like for you?
Yeah. So one was how am I sneaking in daily exercise, particularly with my kids here in the summer when they're home and with me all day. And I decided my floor for either yoga or Pilates, the floor was just to roll out the mat, lay on it. If I can do that, done. And then the ceiling was doing a full 15-minute or 30-minute session with the apps that I have on my phone.
Excellent. So, what you've just described for everybody is a way to build consistency without the shame spiral that we often go into when we don't do it perfectly. And most of us set our goals and our habits as ceilings, as I must work out for 30 minutes every day. And then when we don't do it, we enter the shame spiral where now we're also going into all or nothing. Why do I can never do this? And it just, you beat yourself up instead of keeping yourself going. So, I'm going to keep coming back to that, that the purpose of doing something tiny and having that 30-second, even just rolling out the mat and laying on it, that's what helps you keep the habit alive and keeps you moving towards your goal. So even if you don't have the 30 minutes, you do have 30 seconds to roll out the mat and lay on it. And then you get credit for that.
Yeah. And remembering to celebrate that, right? That was
Yes.
you doing your habit. Even though it was like I just decided to lay on my yoga mat instead of lay on my bed. But it
Well, yeah,
counts.
I will say That's my favorite part of doing yoga is the very end. What is it, the shavasana,
Yeah.
or the it's
Yep.
just laying in not moving at all, and
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. All
Yeah.
right. So as you can tell, Katie and I, we've done this before together, but we're going to use a new example that we haven't previously talked about. So we can do this live with our listeners following along. So you'll pick your own area. When you think about your life and maybe an area that you would like to improve that would help you become the person that you want to be, what is it that you want to lean into? Or what is it that feels particularly challenging that you would like to change?
Yeah. Okay. Honest. Mine's going blank right now. I will say part of my struggle right now is that I feel like I have 1,000 ideas that I want to achieve, but they're kind of like a baby babbling at me. Like they're not making sense,
Mm,
which probably just signals to myself that I am not spending a lot of time in stillness and being
mm,
present. Let's see. So, probably a habit I'm wanting to recenter in on is that stillness habit. Taking time for
okay.
myself and making sure that I'm celebrating it and not feeling guilty that I'm not doing the many tasks that I need to be done around the house or whether it's for the podcast or for my family.
Excellent. I love that you picked stillness and presence because presence has shown up before when we were talking about the identity that you wanted to create. Presence, I believe, was one of those. That was
Mm-hmm.
a couple of episodes before. And that you tied that specifically through all of these ideas that you quantified as having a little baby babbling at you. That kind of seems, everybody knows like a baby babbling, it's incomprehensible, it's just sound, but you know that there's something there and you're trying
Yeah.
to figure out
Yeah.
what does that babbling mean? And there's a part of you that knows that if I was still, if I had a moment when things weren't coming in and out of my mind so quickly, I might be able to decipher something from those babbles.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Yep.
that sound right?
Yeah, spot on.
Okay. So now that we've identified that, I'm going to ask you the next question, and that is thinking about that, and that's what you want to create is some stillness so you can decipher the babbling. What is a habit that you could um, institute that would help you find stillness and presence?
First thing that came to my mind would be walking with a journal or something by myself. So I have a little bit of movement and beauty to kind of help my thoughts kind of be free flowing. And then whenever the truth of my ideas coming to me, I have time to write them down.
Okay, so what you've described right there for everybody who's listening is the ceiling. This is the best case scenario is that in order to get the stillness and presence that I want, that I can decipher the babbling baby, that I would need to be walking, I need to have my journal with me, and you probably would go outside,
Mm-hmm.
walk. I mean, how long do you anticipate?
I feel like 30 minutes to an hour would be fantastic.
Okay. So here we've identified we need a 30-minute block of time. We need the prep time before, and we need to be able to be alone, walking, I'm assuming somewhere quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And you would need to have a journal and a writing utensil with you so that when ideas struck, you could stop and write.
Yes.
Okay. So that would be a ceiling for everybody. A reminder that's like the highest and the biggest version of what is actually the habit. But now we need to take it all the way down to the bottom, and that is the floor. So, what is, and a floor should really take less than a minute. So, when you think about the big one, how can we condense that down into a minute? What would be the smallest expression of that goal? The very smallest. So, for example, when you were talking about
Mm.
laying out your yoga mat,
Yeah. Okay.
that, so what would be the smallest expression of this goal?
Okay. I would take a moment to take one deep breath in and
Okay.
out, and then just say, I am here. That would be like my cue to presence.
Okay. So that's an invitation to be present. That won't take a minute and it won't take 30 seconds. So technically, we still have some more time.
Okay.
So that's a great start. So remember, your big expression was walking with your journal and your pen outside. And so what we have right now is one big deep breath.
Saying aloud or in my own head, I am here. And maybe it's to grab that journal and then I write, I don't know, maybe I just write one positive note of the day so far about myself,
Okay.
something to bring me
So
into a
now
state
we
of,
ventured outside of the minute, but
okay,
I like where we're going.
okay,
So it's, and we'll get to why it's important to keep it under a minute. We've already talked about that. It has to be so easy. It's almost harder to not then do it.
yes,
And so by then committing to a sentence, that's like making two tiny habits together, which isn't exactly what we're doing. We're just trying to make the very smallest version so you can give yourself credit for it and gain some momentum. So I love the way you started. It's like I have a minute every day, regardless of what's happening in my life, where I can stop, I can take a deep breath in, I can exhale, and I can say aloud, I am here. The other part we need to add to that is your journal. So rather than writing, you could hold the journal to your chest. You could hold it in your hand. You could somehow have the journal with you as you're doing that, and that could be done under a minute.
okay,
So the tiny habit is the deep breath, saying aloud, I am here, holding your journal to your heart. The larger expression is having your journal, walking outside, being amongst the beautiful nature that you have in Washington State, and really experiencing a prolonged sense of stillness and presence, upwards of 30 minutes or more.
mm-hmm, yep,
Okay. So, listeners, that is a beautiful range from a tiny under a minute to 30 minutes or more. So, if you're following along, name the thing that you want your identity to become. For Katie, it was she wanted to experience stillness and presence so that she could hear the ideas that are coming to her. For you, it might be something different. Pick the habit that supports that and then define the floor, which is the smallest expression of it, and then the ceiling, which is the largest expression of it. And you don't need to have perfect conditions. You need a plan that works in real life. And the smaller, the better. Trust me. Okay. Katie, you led us to this. And that's where we're going to go next is the tool of habit stacking. So this is when you pair your new habit with something that you already do automatically. So, Katie, what are some things that you do automatically that you could attach a tiny habit to?
I mentioned kitchen cleaning,
Okay.
just like, I mean, that happens so many times a day these days. And that's typically when I am pretty overstimulated, whether it's usually it's like kids' playroom is kind of our living room, which is kind of where they spend a lot of time. So there's lots of visual clutter. So that's typically the place that I need to center the most. But I'm really quick to like just put on the earbuds and like, I just want to like zone out here and have a good laugh, which isn't bad, but it does take me away from presence.
Okay. So, would you say that if we're using cleaning the kitchen or the dishes, is that something you do every day at about roughly the same time?
Yeah,
Okay.
after every meal. Breakfast, lunch,
Eventually, we're going
dinner.
to get to the part. We knew those kids just a little bit older so they can do the dishes.
I know. We're trying.
That's
My
that's a whole
oldest,
nother episode.
my oldest as well. My younger two are quiet about it. I'll ask, and they're like, "Okay." it's passive aggressively, and then they just walk away, and then they go into good
Okay.
play where I'm like, oh, I'll just do it. So yeah, we're getting there.
Okay, we're going to work on that. Good. Let me tell you, your life will change the minute they can do that.
Oh.
Okay, but for now, we're going to use cleaning the kitchen and doing the dishes as that anchor. You already do it. You do it every day, multiple times a day. So then, how can we pair this new habit of taking that deep breath, making the statement aloud, and holding the journal?
Trying to think of where I'd
If
have
we're
to
going to
put my
stack
journal.
it,
My journal needs to be
okay.
in there.
Okay, so the journal needs to be in the kitchen.
But I should really do. My journal just needs to be wherever my AirPods are. So I see my journal. I'm like, oh yeah,
Okay.
let's do that first.
Oh, okay. So, what Katie has just identified is how we can set up your environment to make your habits easier to incorporate. Where do you usually keep your AirPods?
There's a little wicker basket next to my toaster.
Oh, great. So, we're just going to insert the journal in that same wicker basket?
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay. Now, because we're going to stack this, you can stack things lots of different ways, right? You could stack it before you do the dishes, as a before I do the dishes, I will, or you can do it after I finish the dishes, I will. Where does it make the most sense for you?
Definitely before.
Definitely before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what that might look like. When you go into the kitchen to do the dishes, are you grabbing your ear pods first? Is that the thing? Before you start washing the dishes, do you immediately put in your AirPods?
Yeah, typically I'm like great, like gazing around, feeling overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, let's get some mid to like motivate me through this.
Okay. So you're going to go to the basket where the earpods, are they earpods or AirPods?
AirPods.
AirPods that we're both wearing. You're going to go, you're going to get them. Now, you might think this is it doesn't matter. It's such a small little thing, but it does. So you have to decide at that moment as you're walking through this, do I pick up the AirPods or do I pick up my journal first? Which one would you like?
Journal.
Great. So the habit is going to be walking to the wicker basket to get the AirPods, but instead of picking up my AirPods, I'm going to pick up my journal and I'm going to do my habit, which is one deep breath. And then I'm going to say aloud, I am here, while holding the journal to my chest. And then you're going to put it back in the wicker basket and get to work. Put on whatever music you need to do. Okay, so that is creating a tiny little moment of stillness. I'm going to challenge you just a little bit, Katie, because in this scenario, there's no way for that full expression to take place.
Yeah, true.
So
In fact, I'm like, I don't know when I can do the full expression.
we know for sure it will never happen because those two things can't coincide.
Yes.
Can't start doing the dishes and somehow end up taking a 30-minute walk
Right.
outside.
Right.
So that was a great example for us to use as far as why this matters. It's got to be tiny. It's got to exist in a space where it has the potential. So let's think of another habit you could stack with it. What is something you do every day?
Lately, my spouse has been walking to work. And so he'll text me when he's leaving, and we've been meeting him on his pathway
Okay.
home. So that's probably where the full expression will have to insert.
Now tell me, Katie, when you're walking with your children to meet your husband as he walks home from the
It would
hospital.
have to be like the handoff of the kids, and I'm gonna just go finish this walk or
Okay.
something.
Okay. Well, that actually does work.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how that could work for a small expression and then the large expression. So the tiny habit is you bring the journal with you, you meet your husband halfway. Maybe there's not enough time to do the full one. And so you could, even with the kids there, take that deep breath, say it, hold your journal, and then walk home with your family.
Hmm.
Or if situation and time allows, you could do the handoff and keep walking.
Keep walking. Yes, this will
How
be a
does that feel?
seasonal habit here where I live. We live in the big dark,
Okay.
so it gets too dark too early. But
Katie, love
we
you.
adjust.
So, everyone listen, Katie is finding lots of obstacles.
I am
And just
queen of
know
this.
this is what we all do. And something like this comes up where we're having to think about changing what we do. You're going to have obstacles. That is just part of the process. And so I love that they're coming up. That's okay. We're all going to have the obstacles. But this is why tiny matters, that
Mm,
there is no obstacle that a tiny habit cannot overcome.
yes.
Okay. So the obstacle you presented to us is that, oh, this is just seasonal, that because I'm not going to be able to do this when the fall comes because it's going to get too dark early and I'm not going to be outside walking in the dark with my children to meet my husband. Okay, then let's find something that does work. Or we could have a winter season version of it and a spring and summer version of it.
Yes.
What we don't do is we don't give up entirely.
Yeah, yeah.
We find something that works. So,
Yes.
what would you like to do?
Two
Fall,
versions.
winter, one for spring, summer?
Yeah. I foresee much more times of stillness once school starts because even my youngest will be starting preschool. So I will
Okay.
have time by myself. Yeah.
But again, we're just going back to that same principle that it has to be tiny for this very reason.
Yep.
It has to be. And we either find the spot where it can consistently be tiny, or we have a multiple version of it, one for winter, one for spring, one for when the kids are in school. But I would say it's
Hmm.
easier to find one where every single day of the year you have a minute that you can do this.
Yeah.
But you also have space where it can be larger. And so maybe it is one of those things when your youngest is getting ready to go to preschool, you will have more days where the full expression of that habit can be made. But on the days that they're not when she's not in preschool and the kids aren't in school, then you have a minute that you can definitely do it.
For
So let's
sure.
think about this in terms of right now we're at the beginning of August. School starts for you the beginning of September. You would have a month to practice that teeny tiny habit. And then as she goes into preschool, you're ready for the full expression of it because you've already set it up. It's already got motion. You already know what to do.
Yes.
And realistically, is she going to be in like 5 day a week preschool, 3 day a week preschool?
Yeah. 5 day a week.
5 days.
Yeah.
So, right there, what you're telling me is on the weekends, I may have to do the smaller version. During the week, I should be able to do the larger version. When the kids are on holiday, probably the lower version. And when summertime comes, possibly a combination of lower and higher, depending on what is going on in our life right now. But the one thing I want you to see is that thread, that consistency, and that compound effect is still there. It hasn't gone away. There isn't this all or nothing. I do it or I don't do it. It's I do it every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you.
All right. Then let's move on to the next part because this, at the beginning, I told you this is like the last piece and it might surprise people. And it's straight from the book Tiny Habits. People change when they feel good. So feeling good about yourself and your progress is going to be an indicator of whether or not this is going to be successful. Katie, I'm going to ask another question for you.
Hey.
I'm going to ask you, Katie, does that resonate with you that when you feel good, it's easier to change?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried like beating yourself up to get yourself to do something new?
Yes.
Has that been successful?
Mm, not for a long term.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe
Yeah.
for short terms. I can beat myself up to do something for a couple of days,
Yeah.
but that isn't usually how people change. People change when they feel good. And this is, again, simple and powerful.
Hmm.
We tend to think that change happens through like grit and discipline.
Or fear.
Yes, exactly. But what we feel in the moment has a huge influence on whether we repeat a behavior. You can think of it like dopamine. Who doesn't love the feeling of dopamine or endorphins? The reason we have those is so we will do them again. And so in this case, we want to get that release of endorphins and the dopamine from doing what we said we were going to do. And BJ Fogg, he recommends building celebration right after you complete a habit. So this isn't a reward that you give yourself later. This isn't, if I do this 5 times, I get to have ice cream.
Yeah.
This is about what you feel in the moment of accomplishment. So it could be something like a smile or a nod or a quiet yes. Anything that reinforces that I did it and I'm proud of me. So tell me what celebration looks like for you. How do you celebrate?
I'm a pretty good happy dancer,
Okay, so a little happy
but
dance.
I mean, it depends on the thing. I wouldn't be that pumped about myself to like happy dance.
Great. I think happy dance is wonderful. You want to show us your happy dance?
I mean, if I'm super
Show
pumped,
us, Katie.
I'm use Kendra.
Oh, you're going to do it. Awesome.
I'm super pumped about it. I'm like, yes. That's like when my spouse
Yes.
signed his first contract. That I mean, that was that kind of happy dance.
That was the dance.
That was
That's
a
awesome.
dance.
I know our listeners are hearing this and they didn't get to see it, but how does that make you feel when you do the happy dance?
Oh, it's fun. It feels good.
Yeah, it is fun. That's really the whole point. So, for our listeners, maybe yours won't be a happy dance. Maybe yours will be something else. And if you're having a hard time coming up with what that might be, here's a little exercise you can use to figure out how you might want to celebrate. So, I want you to picture this. Imagine you got a piece of paper, you crumple it up, and then you toss it across the room, and it lands perfectly in the trash can on the first try to
Ooh, that's a good one.
feet of
Boom. That's what I would do.
yeah, you would do something. And so again, we know Katie has a happy dance. I like a little pat on the back. Whatever it is that you use to celebrate, that's how we anchor this in and really make it stick. I think we're ready to wrap up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was fun, Kendra. And listeners, you're welcome. And I'm sorry. Sometimes I feel like I'm not the best example, but you know.
You are the best example.
Okay, so let's recap. So we started with identity. That's our foundation. And then we have the tiny habits, and we're making them doable. We have to remember the floors and ceilings. This is so fun to think about. Make that flexible. Like for me, it's going to be dependent on season, where my kids are, potentially how my spouse transports to work. And then we stack it. We stack those habits so that they become automatic. And then we celebrate with the booyah or your happy dance or whatever makes you feel good inside. And I realize I probably am not celebrating enough.
I guarantee you're not celebrating enough. How do we usually start some of our coaching calls? It's been a while.
I'm like, I don't know. Like, what's going well? How did
It's
it
been
go?
a long time.
I don't know.
We usually start with the celebration, want
Oh,
to set
yeah.
ourselves up for success. And so it's like, what can we celebrate that went really well this week? So celebration is important. And I know you and most people are not doing it often enough, but it is so integral. But as we go through this process, it's also important to reevaluate. So we've gone through this example with Katie. These are the steps that she's going to take, but she's going to check in with herself and see, is it actually working? Meaning, am I actually able to do that floor in the place that I've determined I'm going to put it? And does it actually belong there? She might find as she goes on and the season changes, that's not the right place for it, or there's a better place for it. And so we're always open then to re-engineering where it belongs so we can create the success momentum that we need. All right, so here's Katie, this is your challenge and everybody else's challenge also. So we've got 5 of them. 1, name the identity that you're working on. All of us, we have multiple identities. Next, choose one tiny habit. It should be so small, it takes less than a minute. Number 2, choose one tiny habit. The third is to define your floor and ceiling. The floor should be the tiniest expression of the habit that can be done in 60 seconds or less. And then the ceiling is the idealized version of that habit. Step number 4, you're going to stack it onto something that you already do every day. and then 5 you're going to practice. And maybe this is a better place to add it. The sixth one is to reevaluate. If it doesn't work where you have it, or it's too long, or it's not the right habit in the right place, we experiment, we fix it, and we try again.
So maybe this is a good one to take a screenshot of this episode and share your habit with us on Instagram. We would love to hear what you are working on. Tag us at Supporting Physician Spouses. We would love to cheer you on.
And as an extra bonus, we've created a simple handout to help you remember these keys. You can DM us with the word habits on Instagram at Supporting Physician Spouses, and we'll send it to you. We hope this helps you on your journey to becoming the version of you are seeking.
And join us next week with a special episode on how to reconnect with your partner quickly and meaningfully after maybe long shifts or time apart, away rotations, whatever it may be. We are going to share simple strategies to fast track closeness without pressure or resentment.
That's going to be a great one, and I'm sure one my husband is going to listen to. He listens to all of them, but he's going to be like, I can't wait to hear. All right, that closes us out for today. Katie, thank you so much for being a proxy for all of our listeners, and we hope to see you next time.
See you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.